I, 40 female, had my twins, Evelyn 21 female, and Santos 21 male, at 19, with my then boyfriend Kevin 42. We got married, got part-time jobs, kept studying short careers, and with the help of our friends and parents, we were able to raise them. It was a lot of stress and hard work, but we were happy, and with time we were able to buy our own house. We even thought about having more children, but I refused because I almost died in childbirth. I really thought Kevin was the love of my life, but I ended up discovering that he had been cheating on me for a year, around 7 years ago. I was devastated, and I immediately chose divorce. He begged for forgiveness, but I refused and asked for a divorce. When he realized he could have lost his children due to this, he managed to make it look to my kids that I was the one who cheated. He paid someone to tell them fake stories, and my kids cut contact with me. They were furious, and they never let me explain. I swore I tried for months, hard, but they refused to listen to me. My final straw was when my son, Santos, told me that I was dead to them and to leave them both the heck alone. I don't want to victimize myself much, but I must explain how it affected me. I went into depression and alcoholism. I still survived, and I almost lost my license, but I didn't care at all. As dramatic as it sounds, I remember being on top of a roof, but my mom called me. I didn't respond, but she left a voicemail asking why I was avoiding her and that she missed me. I realized how selfish I had been. I was too focused on my own pain and didn't think about the consequences. How my mom, who raised me alone as a single mother, gave me everything she had and loved me more than anyone would. I was furious with my children for what they did to me, for not believing me, but what about me? Anyway, after crying on the floor in my living room for hours, I took a train to my hometown and confessed everything to my mother. I cried in her arms like a little baby, precisely like I used to cry in her arms as a child. I didn't realize how much I needed it. I stopped working for a couple of months, and I got into therapy and rehab, but I did my best to help her around the house. I ended up meeting my now husband, Marcos, 41. I got a job in my field, and we moved in together 3 years ago and adopted a kid. We weren't planning on having kids. He had none of his own, but he's a doctor, and we decided to adopt our daughter, Milagros, tween female, who lost her parents in an accident. We realized we could give her a good life together. I love her with all my heart, just as much as I love my biological kids. She's sweet, kind, smart, funny, and curious. Her presence has healed things I couldn't heal with therapy. Not that I'm using her to replace my Santos and Evelyn, but I think you can get it. Long story short, Santos and Evelyn contacted me a couple of weeks ago. After insisting, I agreed to a meeting. They drove to my town, and I admit, I wanted to cry when I saw them, but I kept my cool. I just sat there. I tried to snap at them, but I thought there was no point. They asked how I was doing, and I ignored their questions and asked what they wanted. They explained how their father remarried a horrible woman who treated them really bad, how they found him intoxicated one night. He admitted that he lied about my affair and that he was the one who cheated on me. They apologized and begged me for another chance, and even though it was what I wanted for years, I just didn't respond. I didn't even look at them. I stayed in silence, staring at the table for seconds. I finally told them that it was no longer my problem, since according to them, I was dead. And maybe they should have thought things through before turning their backs on their mother without even letting them tell their side of the story. They kept crying and apologizing, but I stopped them. I said, I don't have time for this stuff. I have to pick up my daughter. And I left the money on the table. They were shocked to hear about my daughter, but I simply went to pick Milagros up. They kept trying to contact me, but I ignored them. They showed up at my house and talked to my husband, and they were surprised by how nice Marco was to them. I thought about the situation, talked with my closest friends, mom, and husband, and concluded that I needed to make things right. I invited them to my house when I was alone with my husband, and I apologized for snapping at them. I told them I was sorry for how they were suffering, but I still wouldn't be able to forgive them. You see, I still feel a grudge and resentment towards them that I can't control. and I feel like it won't go away. They kept trying to change my mind, but I stood my ground. I gave them 2 envelopes full of cash for the years I missed, and I told them I loved them with all my heart and that wasn't going to change. I wanted them both out of my life. They were hurt and tried to argue, but I clarified that they showed me how little I meant to them and that no matter how much I loved them, I didn't want them in my life after what I went through because of them. My husband politely asked them to leave me alone. I admit I cried in my husband's arms, but it was something I needed to do. Santos and Evelyn still can't accept my decision. They've asked every person close to me to convince me to reconsider. Even my mom, whom they ignored for years. My mom did snap at them. Of course, they're her grandkids and she loves them, but I'm her daughter. And there's other words. She wasn't nice to them, called them entitled, and said that after all they put me through, the least they could do would be to leave me alone and face the consequences of their actions. Anyway, some of my friends found out about this, and they're telling me that I'm overreacting. They're just kids who made a stupid mistake, and I know that. But that stupid mistake almost drove me straight to my death. I don't think we can have a healthy relationship if I hold a grudge against them. I wish I didn't, but I can't control it. Again, am I the idiot for refusing to forgive my kids? Not the idiot, but for now, do what you must for your own peace. Your life was practically destroyed, and your family threw you away. You're obviously traumatized. People who have suffered so much sometimes need peace, regardless of who played what part in their torment. They were lied to and used, of course, and maybe one day you can talk to them again, but take things at your own pace. For now, ask yourself this. Now that your children have lost both of their parental figures and have been outright disowned like you were, what are you going to do if one of them goes down the path you went through? This affair happened 7 years ago, and the kids were like 14. Her kids threw her away because they were manipulated by their dad. They weren't just lied to. They were manipulated into hating their mom. She gets to feel hurt, but they're also victims here. These literal children were going through a traumatic life event. It's not the child's responsibility to meet the parent's needs. That's why parental alienation is a real thing and weaponized to get back to the other parent. Now on to the main topic. She can choose to not have contact with them. It's her choice and right, but it still makes her an idiot for holding 2 teens accountable for her actions. The kids don't deserve as much sympathy here as you say. Whilst it started at 14, the mistreatment continued for many years. They betrayed her. They can only honor her current wishes and stay away. They also don't like their new stepmom. They say they learned Dad lied about who had the affair. While it's understandable that they want to reach out to their other parent to apologize, why so pushy? OP gave them her answers. The kids are 21 and likely still living at Dad's house. Are they looking for a new place to live because they don't like stepmom? I'm guessing that's why they're reaching out to the mother they abandoned for 7 years and not taking no for an answer. I, 27 female, returned home to my parents' house after about 3 years. My 2 older brothers and their families were also invited for a few days as a way for the entire family to catch up. I was beyond excited to see everyone. My oldest brother, Malcolm, 35, has 2 sons, preschool and young grammar school age. We would all be staying in our old rooms as arranged by my mom. The house is spacious, and I thought there would be no problems. There was. My nephews are loud, very, very loud. I usually work a very demanding job, and I'm sleep deprived 90% of the time anyway. I really didn't want to go on with this sleep deprivation, so I booked a hotel nearby. Malcolm found out, and he kept telling me I was ruining the trip and the family dynamic, that we were all supposed to be together now. I told him everyone would be more comfortable this way. He kept asking me for a reason, and ultimately I said it was because I wanted my own space to sleep comfortably, and that was hard to do with kids running around. Malcolm got really upset and called me a horrible aunt and a terrible person. I told him I'd let our mom know, and she was okay. He went on to call me the golden child who wouldn't tolerate the smallest inconvenience for family and said I was selfish. My other brother, Paul, 30, has sided with him, but our parents agree with me and say as long as I show up for the main events, it doesn't matter where I sleep. It doesn't matter where I sleep. I asked a few friends and they're all torn. Was I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents have their heads screwed on correctly. Who wants to try and sleep and enjoy a trip with a bunch of obnoxiously loud brats cavorting about? You've done the right thing for your own peace and sanity at the unanticipated cost of booking a hotel. That normal childhood noise is intense for the adults who live with them, and it's way intense for any adults who aren't used to it. Gosh, in my old house, my cat sounded like a herd of elephants galloping across the kitchen floor while I was in the basement. I can't imagine kids. Malcolm found out and he kept telling me I was ruining the trip and family dynamics, that we were all supposed to be together now. Just wondering, maybe your brother was counting on you looking after the kids. I mean, you being the childless younger sibling, woman, it seems to be the main one in these family reunions. A single child-free auntie is at serious risk of being stuck being on call childcare. I am sure the brothers hope OP can get some experience caring for the kids, while her brothers get to relax and enjoy the visit without dealing with their own kids. The fact that the brothers' wives didn't come with them or haven't been mentioned speaks volumes to me. Their plan all along was for OP to be the babysitter along with their mother. Not the idiot. Enjoy the hotel room and enjoy being child-free even more. My boyfriend, 27, and I, 25, moved in together 3 months ago, and we're still trying to compromise on how things should be done around the house. I usually do the cooking because I come home before he does. I've had to beg him to help clean up the kitchen when we were done eating. It just makes sense to me that if one person is cooking a meal for both of us to eat, then the other person should clean up. I've noticed that when he's emptying the dishwasher, he mixes up the utensils. We have a drawer organizer and a section for all the utensils. Butter knives go with the butter knives. Teaspoons are sorted with teaspoons, forks with forks, etc. He puts the big spoons with the little spoons, and the big forks with the little forks. I asked him if he could separate the teaspoons and the tablespoons when putting away the utensils. He responded with, "No, I don't care. I'm not wasting energy and brain power on separating spoons." Now I have to go behind him and fix the utensil drawer after he puts away utensils. I want to know if I'm being dramatic. There is space for each utensil category in the drawer organizer. It makes sense to put all the same utensils in the same spot instead of mixing them. It's not the end of the world if the utensils are mixed together, but at the same time, I feel like if you're going to do something, then just do it the right way from the beginning. Now I have to clean up after him after he's already cleaned up. He doesn't want to waste his energy and brain power? My, there must be quite a shortage of it if he has to be so careful in choosing when to dole it out. This simple, polite act requires near zero effort and near zero intelligence. Why are you with this guy? What happens when you ask him to do something that requires effort or critical thinking skills? I'm usually the one to empty the dishwasher, and I'm puzzled by the brain power deficit that he's experiencing. Nothing could be simpler than separating big spoons from smaller spoons. Same with forks of larger and smaller sizes. He's right that he doesn't care, but he's also lazy and stubborn. Buy a cheap package of chopsticks for him to use and hide the rest of the flatware. He's welcome to dump all identical chopsticks in the same bin if he likes. Doesn't he know how to use chopsticks? I guess he'll need to find some energy and brain power to figure it out. I have it better. My partner's suggestion: pretend you don't care and serve him soup with a teaspoon. Then he serves his parents dinner with dessert forks, steak with a butter knife. If he says anything, remind him that it's a waste of brain power. OP, it sounds like weaponized incompetence. He's hoping you'll take over the chore. Yes, it totally is. He's doing so in a way that it's annoying for her, with the hope that she'll stop asking him and do it herself. OP is definitely not the idiot but the boyfriend is for sure. And this is why living with a significant other before marrying them is a great idea. It's better to find out how obnoxious they are to live with before you legally bind yourself to them. My dad's exact words to me, a woman, you should always try it before you buy it. This is my 22 female and my husband's 22 male second pregnancy. For the first pregnancy, I chose to have my grandmother in the delivery room, as my mother's not in the picture. This time around, my husband insists his mother's in the delivery room. To him, it's a non-negotiable. Some context. My mother-in-law has hated me from day one, as she feels I've taken her son from her, and we've both gotten into screaming matches with each other because of her entitlement and me scared and worried and feeling like I had a say from the very beginning, which wasn't always the case. She's also very judgmental, and I've never felt accepted by her. The latest incident happened right after she came to my house, high as a kite for Thanksgiving, and I told her she needed to get help, as I don't condone that in my home or around my firstborn. Then this led to her constantly asking if she could have my firstborn to babysit for a while, until Christmas. I lost my cool. My husband wasn't putting his foot down, as he knew, with the type of woman she was, she would deny anything and everything. I stepped in and said a couple of choice words and called her name multiple times. Needless to say, I completely lost my cool with her and was very mean as she rebutted back the same way. Back to my issue. I've done everything in my power to fix the relationship on my side, and the ball is currently in her court. Still, mother-in-law is refusing to do anything about it. Now my husband expects and demands her to be in the delivery room when mother-in-law and I have a terrible relationship. I feel trapped in a corner because if I say yes, I'll have a horrible labor, as she's not a good person for me in a vulnerable state. And if I say no, my husband will think that I'm selfish and a spoiled brat because I didn't get my way. I've gotten my way plenty of times in our relationship, and he never really asked me for much. But at the same time, I'm the one physically pushing out a baby. So, am I the idiot for not wanting her there? What would you do? Edit. My husband had done everything in his power to ensure I'm taken care of and have everything I need. And he's very supportive of me. And he really doesn't ask for much. He only asks for common respect, which I struggled with, but have been able to give him. Still working on that, but needless to say, he's the best husband ever and doesn't let anyone walk all over me or talk bad about me. Not the idiot. Your husband has no say who's in a delivery room with you. Labor and delivery is hard enough without going through it with someone you don't want there. Just make sure you tell the nurses that he absolutely is not allowed there and they won't let her anywhere near you. The bigger problem is having another baby with a man who doesn't have your back. You guys really need to work on that before she ruins your marriage. OMG, tell him mother-in-law can be in the delivery room if he drops his pants and lays spread eagle beside you. What a loser. Does your husband even like you? Why would he demand you have his mommy in the delivery room while you're completely vulnerable? You say he doesn't let people walk all over you, but that's precisely what he's doing here. I'm sorry this is happening, but if mother-in-law can't be civil at the very least, she can't be there. Plus, she has a drug problem? What a mess. Labor and delivery nurses are well skilled in removing unruly families, so if it becomes an issue, they have no problem kicking her right out. It shouldn't come to that though. Your husband is being unreasonable here, and he's the issue you